So now we're going to start on page 2. Before we do that, I have just double checked page 1 and page 10, and I haven't put a pocket onto either of them. But the instructions are there if you want to make a pocket, and there will be some spare card included, so you can make the pocket quite easily. I just decided that it would probably be better just left as a plain page for a photograph. Okay, so page 2. So if I show you page 2 in here. So this is page 2. It's got a little flap, and then you've got 3 little places to put photographs. Okay, so in the instructions, for page 2, you'll notice that some of it is in red, because these are the optional bits for if you've got a corner rounder, then you can do the optional bits as well. If not, it looks perfectly fine as it is. Okay, so let's open up page 2 and have a look. So again, keep your yellow bits. So in here, you again have got your 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 and your 6 by 6 sheet, and again it is double-sided, so you can choose which side you want to use. You've got your little pack, and in your little pack you will have 3 pieces like this, and each one will have a score line. You will also have 3 pieces of paper, decorative paper. You'll have a strip and some decorative paper to go with it, and a little strip. Now for page 2, I have made you the little strip that goes inside. For page 9, I haven't, because you've got those extra pieces, and because it's really hard to get the measurements exactly right, it's easier if you do it against the measurements of whatever your piece is measuring at. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold these 3. So again, push, 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 push. And I'm just going to give it a quick twist the other way, and then I'm going to burnish it down. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. So push, 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 push. And I'm just going to bend it back the other way, just so that it's nice and tight. And the third one, push, 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 push. Always from the centre out. Far more likely to get an accurate straight edge if you go from the centre out. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is decide on my colour scheme. So again, you've got your 2 sides. I'm thinking I might have my white there and my darker ones on the top, or you can go darker ones, lighter ones on the top. No, I prefer it that way, but you know, that's absolutely up to you. So I'm going to stick my base sheet onto my base card. Again, leave that little border. There are some wonderful tools out there which can help you get your border absolutely straight every time. And certainly when I make memory books to sell, I use the tools because I want it to look really professional. Okay, so now I'm now going to put my pieces of decorative paper on the top of each of mine. So the fold goes underneath, there you go, and we're going to pop these on the top. Now you've got the measurements in your instruction sheet. So if you wanted to cut, I quite often cut white card of the same size. Let me just get this one on and then I'll show you. And put it on the other side. But that's completely up to you. I've given you enough to do just the front panels. Okay, so I'm going to go. And I've just had a little thought. Do you know what I'm going to do? And again, you know, you decide. I'm going to do 2 with the dark at the front. And then I'm going to use the middle one. And I'm going to put the light at the front again. It's just a little thought that occurred to me, just to make it a bit different. Okay. So obviously what I've done is I've given you all the basics for your memory book. You can build on this to your heart's content. Right, so what I want to do, excuse me, again, is find my centre point. So if you've made yourself a 6 1/4 card and folded it in half, don't throw it away, because it's easier if I take it off, because you can use it again and again and again. So I'm just going to go in there and let's come down a little bit. It's got caught. Put a little mark, a pencil somewhere, yeah. Put a little mark to show that that's the centre point. And then I'm going to do the same back. I always have to remember to put these back straight away because they are clear. I'm going to do the same on here. So I think this is 4. I haven't got the instructions in front of me, but I think that's 4, yes. So I'm going to take that off, put that across there and just put a little tiny mark there. And you can always rub these marks out afterwards. But again, it just gives you that centre point. You don't have to do it by eye if you want. I'm just going to put that there. So I'm going to put my glue on here, like so. And I'm going to line it up. I'm going to have to lift that up so I can see. Line those 2 lines up. And I want to go so that there's a little tiny bit of the pattern paper showing, but only a little bit. If you go down too far, it's going to come off the end here. So I'm just going to make sure that's straight. And then I'm going to just really burnish that. And as I say, you can do it with your fingers. Just be really careful. I've given myself loads of paper cuts doing that. Okay, so now I'm going to go for the white one. So again, up to you. You can keep them all the same. I've just, as I was doing that, I just thought, I tell you what, I'm going to do it differently. So, and you're going to line that up so that it's absolutely level. But you can just see, I know you can't, but there is the tiniest amount of paper showing. And it's really only the breadth of a hair. But you just want that little tiny bit so that it will go flat. But it is just the tiniest bit. And before I start burnishing it, I just want to make sure that's absolutely straight, and it is. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to burnish this one down. Lift that up and really give that a good go. Okay, so now I've got 2 and I'm going for the 3rd. So I'm just going to, again, a little bit of glue. Line it up against the other one. Tiny hair's breadth between them so that you can just make out that there's a piece of paper underneath. And making sure before we stick it down too hard, it's absolutely straight along there. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to push that one down, turn it over and push that down. Okay, now at any point you can round the corners off if you've got a corner rounder, and you can see on here that is exactly what I did. I rounded off the corners of the black. Then I rounded off the corners of the paper so that when I put them on, it was all rounded off, and you can do the same with the next bit, but I'm showing you without doing that. Okay, so it's going down, but you do need something to hold it in place. So this is where this little strip comes into its own. So what you're going to do is you're going to place the strip, so it doesn't have to quite go to the bottom. And I deliberately haven't scored these because everybody's will be slightly different. And you're just going to gently fold that over. And then take it off, make sure it's straight, and then crease it. So what you're doing is you're creating a bit at the back and the rest of it at the front like that. Now you may have to trim the size of your paper. I think I might just get away with this one, but you may have to trim it depending on where you've put your hinge. Okay, mine won't have much of a border around it, but it works. So I'm going to pop my paper onto there. I'm going white side. Yeah, I'm going white side. These may not be the same pattern as your main papers because you do want a little bit of a contrast. So I'm just going to stick that onto there, and as you can see, it's a pretty tight fit. So you may need to trim it off slightly. And then I'm going to use my centre line that I've already got there, and I'm not going to measure this, but I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there so that it slides underneath roughly halfway, and I'm just going to push that down. Now, belt and braces, you can put a little bit of double-sided over the top of that just to make sure it stays held down, because it is going to take a lot of action, but you know, only if you've got it. If you haven't got it, don't worry. Okay, so that's going to come down like that. So on this one, I give you both pieces, but to be honest, I've done it, but you might have to cut it about a bit, because it depends how far you take this down, how far this comes down, as to how big your bottom piece will be, which again then depends. I mean, I have put you a little bit of card in, but you may have to play about with it, which is why I've given you the decorative piece for the first one, but not for the second one, because it's so much easier if you cut it to the size you want. So I'm going to pop that on the top of there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just with my thumb, just going to bend this slightly. I'm not trying to make a big curve. I'm trying just to break the fibres a tiny little bit. And then I'm going to put a bit of glue on there and a bit of glue on there. Lay this down, make sure we've laid it down straight. Lay this over the top. Just going to move it a little bit like that. And then push your two bits of glue down. Okay, now I may have done this too quickly, so if it all pops off, that's because I've done. But now that will slide out from under there. Don't do it until you're absolutely certain it's all stuck down, and then that will slide. Now you have got extra bits of paper, so if you wanted to put a decorative panel on there afterwards, you can. Measurements are all included in the written instructions. So that's your next page, which is that page there, but I'm going to put it here as page 9, and you will have, I'm just going to take this up here, you'll have a repeated one for your page 9 as well as your page 2. So I'm just going to put some glue around here. And always lift your page up, because it's black on black on black, if you don't lift it up, you're quite likely to stick it to the page underneath. So always lift it up, and you'll have the same sort of border as you've got, because I've cut each 1/4 of an inch smaller than the one below it. So you'll have 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch all around the outside again, as we had before. So that is your matching page to that one. That's with the curved edges, that's with the edges straight. Okay,